A romantic meeting, a trusted profession, and a truth revealed too late. What began as a celebration slowly turned into something no one could imagine. This is the story of a date that ended in death. This is the story of Nina.
This video demo is the property of VL Tape Society.
The victim in this story was Nina Surgutskaya. Nina was born male, but later in life chose to transition and live as a woman. She worked as a makeup artist, detail-oriented, disciplined, and deeply passionate about beauty. She also had plans for the future, including continuing her education in law. Friends described Nina as intelligent, articulate, and confident, someone who could hold an argument and never backed down easily. In 2018, Nina met a man online. His name was Mikhail Tikhonov. He was only 27 years old, a young doctor with an impressive background. Educated, polite, calm. From the outside, he looked like the kind of man people trusted without question. And Nina trusted him too. Their relationship grew quickly. Messages turned into long conversations. Conversations turned into feelings. Eventually, they agreed to meet in person. On April 10, 2019, they met in the city of Kursk. That night wasn't random. Nina invited Mikhail to celebrate her graduation from beauty school. It was supposed to be a happy milestone. While spending time with him, Nina kept messaging her mother. She talked about how kind he was, how comfortable she felt. Then, suddenly, the messages stopped. By the next morning, Nina's mother couldn't reach her. Calls went unanswered, messages unread. Worried, she contacted authorities. As protocol required, she was told to wait 24 hours. In many adult missing person cases, people disappear temporarily, staying with friends, traveling, or simply needing space. The waiting period helps authorities separate routine absences from real danger. But Nina's family insisted this wasn't normal behavior for her. Eventually, the concern escalated. Investigators identified Mikhail as the last person known to be with Nina. When questioned, his explanation sounded simple. He said they spent time together, went to Nina's apartment, and fell asleep. When he woke, Nina was gone, so he left. But investigators noticed something unusual. There were visible scratches, deep marks around Mikhail's ear and neck. Mikhail explained them away. He claimed they happened during intimacy, that things got too intense. The explanation didn't fully convince anyone. Authorities then went to Nina's apartment. At first glance, everything looked normal. The place was clean, almost too clean. That matched Nina's personality. She was known to be meticulous, never leaving makeup on before sleeping. But forensic investigators noticed something off. There were bodily fluid stains in the bedroom, marks on pillows, details that didn't fit Nina's usual habits. And then came the discovery that changed everything. In the kitchen, inside the garbage disposal, investigators found fragments of human tissue. Every item was immediately confiscated for further examination. As the search continued, they moved toward the balcony. What they found there defied logic. A human head still connected to part of the spine, wrapped crudely in cloth and covered with salt. At that moment, there was no longer any doubt. Nina was dead. For forensic experts, this discovery wasn't just evidence, it was a window into what had happened before. The autopsy revealed that Nina died from asphyxiation. There were clear signs of intense pressure around her neck, fluid accumulation beneath the skin, tiny hemorrhages in the eyes, broken cartilage, and damage to the hyoid bone. All signs pointed to one cause: manual strangulation.
There were also bruises behind Nina's lips, suggesting she was suffocated first, likely losing consciousness before her neck was compressed with extreme force. But the cuts found on her body told a different story. These injuries didn't happen while she was alive. They were post-mortem. Clean edges, no inflammation, no bleeding. They were precise, done with a very sharp blade. In the kitchen, investigators found cooking equipment that had clearly been used. Pots, utensils, signs that flesh had been prepared. The tissue fragments recovered from the garbage disposal showed heat damage. Cooked human tissue changes color, texture, and structure, yet DNA can still survive. Forensic specialists compared the samples with Nina's family. The match was confirmed.
Confronted with the evidence, Mikhail confessed, but his explanation only raised more questions. He claimed everything happened in a sudden emotional explosion. According to him, after returning to Nina's apartment, they became intimate. During that moment, he realized Nina had undergone gender reassignment surgery. That realization, he said, triggered uncontrollable rage. Mikhail admitted he pressed a pillow over Nina's face until she lost consciousness. Then he strangled her with all his strength. He described his reaction as panic, shock, loss of control. He attempted to frame it as a momentary emotional breakdown, not a planned act. But the crime didn't end there. After confirming Nina was dead, Mikhail moved her body to the kitchen. There, he dismembered her. Some parts were cooked with salt. Some were consumed. The rest was destroyed in the garbage disposal. The head, still attached to part of the spine, was salted and wrapped because he didn't know how else to get rid of it. And this is where the story becomes even more disturbing, because this wasn't Mikhail's first warning sign. As investigators dug deeper, it became clear this crime didn't exist in isolation. There were signs, quiet warnings that had been missed. Before meeting Nina, Mikhail had already shown troubling behavior. During questioning, it was revealed that he had a history of violent fantasies, not spoken openly, not reported, but present. Psychiatric evaluations later confirmed that Mikhail suffered from deep internal conflict, severe emotional instability, and a distorted perception of intimacy and control. He struggled with aggression that surfaced when his expectations collapsed, and when reality didn't match the image in his head. His response was not disappointment, it was violence. Experts noted something important. The attack was not impulsive in the way Mikhail described it. Strangulation requires sustained force. It takes time, minutes, not seconds, which means at some point he could have stopped. but he didn't. What followed after Nina's death made that even clearer. Dismemberment is not panic behavior. Cooking, salting, and attempting to destroy evidence requires decision-making, planning, and time. Each step happened after Nina was already dead, which means the violence didn't end with her life. During the trial, Mikhail tried to present himself as someone who lost control. He framed the crime as an emotional reaction he couldn't contain. But the court examined the full picture, the forensic timeline, the condition of the body, the actions taken afterward, and the argument fell apart. The judge concluded that this was not a momentary lapse. It was a deliberate act, followed by calculated attempts to conceal what had been done. Mikhail was found guilty of murder. The court rejected any narrative that portrayed the crime as accidental or uncontrollable. His medical background, his education, did not work in his favor. In fact, it made the crime more disturbing because he understood the human body, and he still chose to destroy it. He was sentenced to a long prison term under strict conditions. No leniency, no reduced responsibility. The court emphasized one point above all else. Nina was not killed because of who she was, but because someone chose violence over humanity. For Nina's family, no verdict could bring closure. A life was taken, a future erased. They spoke not only about grief, but about how easily trust can be manipulated, how danger doesn't always look dangerous. This case sent shockwaves through the public, not because it involved strangers in dark alleys, but because it began with something familiar, a date, a celebration, a sense of safety. It reminded people that professions don't define character. A white coat does not equal morality. Education does not guarantee empathy. And politeness can hide cruelty. More than anything, this story exposes how quickly intimacy can turn lethal when control, entitlement, and suppressed violence collide. Nina trusted someone because he appeared normal, kind, successful, safe. That trust cost her life. Not every threat announces itself. Some sit across the table from you. Some smile. Some listen. And some wait for the moment you stop being what they expect. This has been the L-Tape Society.